the car at 5 miles per hour. The EMTs recognized a concussion, took her into the hospital to treat a brain bleed. Fortunately, the quick response and care saved her life. Multiple surgeries and care ended with a total payout of $573,000, which was covered by Christina's newly selected coverage policies. The First Mark promise. Not only can they save you money, First Mark will save you when you need them most. Make sure you have the right coverage. Take the First Mark Challenge today. Go to firstmarkinsurance.com.
The KIRO radio text line is brought to you by State Roofing.
Now, from the KIRO Radio News Center, streaming on the KIRO Radio app.
We don't know yet when Bothell High School will reopen to students. It canceled classes yesterday and today over what the school district is calling an abundance of caution over the coronavirus. A partner of an employee got sick after the two returned home from a trip overseas, and test results have not come back yet on whether that person has the COVID-19 virus. School officials hope to learn the test results today before deciding when Bothell High will reopen. In the Shoreline District, meantime, 3 unidentified school district staff members have placed themselves under quarantine for the virus.
Given that they don't have any symptoms, I was okay with that decision not to release the identities.
That is Shoreline parent Bob Shook, contacted by KIRO 7 TV for his reaction to the news. According to the letter sent to families, it is not confirmed that any of the 4 were actually exposed to the virus. And word today, the coronavirus is affecting the choices of beer drinkers.
A Corona gets its line.
A new survey by 5W Public Relations finds 38% of beer-drinking Americans say they're not buying Corona beer because of the coronavirus. COVID-19 and the pale lager have nothing in common except the name, and now Corona is rolling out a new hard seltzer, and the ad campaign on Twitter says, "Coming ashore soon." Tweets back say it's bad timing and in poor taste. Jennifer Brown, CBS News.
And checking the markets, they are all down across the board. The Dow is now off 648 points. The NASDAQ is down another 118 points. Here's Emery Martin with your KIRO Radio real-time traffic.
We've got a collision into Quilla, South Center area, eastbound 518. It blocks the off-ramp to northbound 5, and I'd say there's just a little less than a mile back up into the area, but you will feel a squeeze. Northbound 167 remains slow between Sumner and Pacific. Northbound 405 drivers continue to tap the brakes through Renton and along the Kennydale Hill. Northbound 5 remains busy getting up to I-90. Snohomish County drivers are looking pretty good right now. Everett to either Bellevue or Seattle coming in at 35 minutes. KIRO Radio Real-Time Traffic. I'm Emery Martin.
Traffic is brought to you by Harborstone Credit Union. Harborstone Credit Union makes it easy to tap into the equity of your home with extra low rates on a home equity line of credit through March 31st. Call Harborstone Credit Union, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Rest of your day, we'll look for some increasing clouds and then eventually some rain by, kind of late afternoon and into the early evening. It gets breezy, and also you got a chance for thunderstorms tomorrow with the showers that are left over and sun breaks. A lot of snow in the Cascades and the passes. I'm KIRO 7 Pinpoint meteorologist Nick Allard.
Still patchy fog outside the Carter Subaru Studios. I'm Lisa Brooks.
Listen live at mynorthwest.com. KIRO Radio 97.3 FM with Tom and Curly now on your drive home.
Welcome back in to the G and Ursula Show. Mike Lewis in for Ursula. She's out there on the cruise. Coming up next, we do scenarios. But right now, oh boy. Washington State's new paid family and medical leave program. That's been the topic of conversation. As you guys know, at the beginning of the year, they started as of January 1 of 2020, when a worker goes on leave in Washington, they can get up to 90% of their wages covered up by the state, maxing out at $1,000 a week. The average worker gets up to 70 to 75% of their usual wages reimbursed. But what's been happening is at the State Employment Security Office, there has been upwards to 30,000 applications for reimbursement. And because of that, it is taking up to 10 weeks for applicants to get their money. Well, joining the show, the person who does our social media here at KIRO Radio, Michael Simeona. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thanks, G.
Well, I know you had a baby, and congratulations on that. Your
Thank
little
you.
son. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And so you were gone for a little bit. Explain what happened.
So I was gone for 2 weeks when he was born in the middle of January, and that wasn't on the paid family leave, but my wife has started the paid family leave soon after our son was born.
Okay.
So the program started on January 1st, so you could apply starting on January 1st. Cassie, my wife, applied immediately, even before he was born, and got accepted into the program really early. So she's been getting paid. However, it's been 6 weeks now since our son was born. She's only been paid for 3 of the weeks. So the payments have slowed down, even though she's on the program.
So they started giving her money, and they gave her 3 weeks of pay.
Right.
And then they stopped?
Yeah, so you put a claim in every week on their website. So you put the claim in on Sunday for the week previous, and then you're supposed to get paid on Friday. Well, that happened the first 3 weeks. However, they've been delayed in the payments since then.
When you call and ask them what's the delay, what do they say?
It's what they've been saying. There's a huge delay as far as applications. But as far as specifically why we're not getting paid, there isn't anything there.
So I think also with the lesson here, though, is that now, so with your situation, she could apply in advance because you knew you were going to have that coming up. In other people's situations, the death of a family member, for other reasons that you might take this, you wouldn't necessarily know. And so those are the people who are really getting caught out because they can't expect, if it's an emergency, they can't expect to see those wages for a period of time, it looks like.
Yeah, and you also, in order to submit an application, you need to submit certain documents. So whether it's a birth certificate or maybe a death certificate, as far as taking care of that. And it takes a while to get that information. We didn't receive my son's Social Security card until this week. So my application I applied for right after my son was born, 2 days after he was born. I still haven't been approved for the program.
And he was born on what day?
January 14th.
So 3 weeks in, you guys did this well in advance. Right. You did, everything was right. 3 weeks in, you're getting the paychecks. Everything's smooth. You have no idea that there could be a potential problem. Am I right? Going forward, right. And then on that 4th week, you don't get that check. What's the feeling? What's the conversation between you and your wife?
Well, it's a little concerning because you're like, obviously we're expecting to get paid that week. Mm-hmm. But it's now been 3 weeks since we've been paid, and it's kind of been delayed. So it's a little concerning, especially now. Luckily, we planned ahead and have enough money in savings. But other people out there who are relying on this, maybe 2 people that are taking their paid family leave at the same time, I mean, they'd be a little less fortunate than we are for sure.
Now, I'm sure you've been doing your research on other companies maybe. And seeing what it is some of the employers are doing. Are you finding out, are there any companies out there in the private sector that are saying, hey, maybe we'll give you guys money until you're able to reimburse us? Have you heard of anybody doing anything?
Yeah, so we have a couple that we're friends with, and they have received approval for the membership but aren't getting paid. However, their company has done basically a loan program. So they're getting money from their company up front to cover the cost until they get paid from the government.
So it looks like your experience would say, I mean, one, the state, I think, was caught off guard by how many people applied for it, how many people are using the program. But 2, now the state has a little bit of a roadmap on how to improve the program. 1, I guess, from staffing up for the number of processing applications faster. But 2, and I like the idea of providing some sort of mechanism by which, and maybe making it tax-free, that employers can actually provide these short-term loans for people until that reimbursement can actually happen, because at the end, your landlord is not terribly worried about you not being on the paid family medical leave program or getting delayed by the state. They want their rent on the 30th or on the 1st or something along those lines. And so it gives an employer an incentive to front that money if that money is then coming in on the back end, one would hope, relatively soon.
Yeah, exactly. And it's super helpful in those instances because hey, I'm getting paid no matter what. Obviously, we'll pay back the company once the government pays us back, but it would be super helpful in that case.
Got us some text messages that have come in, and of course we've been hearing from you about this situation. 509 says, I had surgery on January 2nd, filed January 9th. My application still hasn't been processed. I'm already back to work right now. And we got a text from Amanda. She says, my niece is rather frustrated after hers was denied due to an internal clerical error at the department. She had to reapply and wait all over again with a newborn. The process so far for you, up until when you stopped getting paid, like when you were doing it every week, did you feel like that was a hassle because you said that every single week you would have to go ahead and send in your information so that you can be ready for the next check. Did you guys feel like the process was easy at first?
I'd say going into it, obviously, since it started on January 1st, knowing this was coming late last year, it was more so trying to get information heading up into the new year. We, even working with our employer here, there wasn't much info as far as how we apply for this, how this works based on our HR rules. So that part was the most confusing. They do have a website up. If you Google just Washington Paid Family Leave, you can find the website. It's a lot more information than they had in the past. So just the process of getting there was the most difficult part. As far as filing claims and all that, it's pretty self-explanatory, but still it's the waiting part. You don't receive any confirmation email. You don't receive any communication from them. That's what makes it tough.
I mean, you may not know the answer to this, but I'm kind of curious. Is there any mechanism by which people who are not facing an emergency right now but want to be at least entered into the system to perhaps speed the turnaround time, should they ever need it? Or do you have to actually have a stated reason to even apply to get recognized by the system, if you get my question?
I believe you need a stated reason. No matter what, you can go in there and it'll tell you, like, hey, this is how you can apply for it. This is how you're eligible for it. But still, once you actually apply for it, you don't know until you don't get any information whether you're approved or not. So that's what's tough about it.
Michael, thank you.
Thanks, G.
Wait. Before you go, I was thinking about something. So you were gone, so you didn't use the family pay leave deal. You used your own stuff.
Right.
So you still haven't taken any time off, technically, for what we kind of started to pay in for this whole deal because you're afraid that you might not get paid.
Yeah, so I'm backing my time for the months of May and June, so I'm waiting for that. But I applied for it already, so I'll be in a good time frame. But there are others out there who need the money now who aren't getting it.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Yep,
thanks,
thank
man.
you.
All right, Mike, before we get on out of here, I was looking at this text that came in from the 360, and it kind of made me think. It's a G and Mike. I wonder how long they will be able to offer the paid family leave. I am a small employer, and when I do my quarterlies, it's not very much paid in per employee. Do you think you'll have to raise the rates dramatically to make this thing work?
This is exactly what I was thinking about before I saw this text, and I pay in too because I'm also a business owner. It seemed like so if you were a cynical person or a skeptical person, you would say that they set the rate lower, knowing it would need to go higher to get the system in place, knowing they need to raise it later. And I suspect that may have been the argument because when it came through, I looked at it, I thought, like, that's not bad. I'm all in favor, and because I knew I could see the deductions on my quarterlies as well. And then I'm thinking, like, when this thing got popular, like, they either really didn't know it was going to be popular. I don't know why it wouldn't have been, but they may have not known that. But I suspect that they wanted to get it in place. And then it's sort of like the cell phone plan. You get the cell phone for free, but you're on a contract to pay back for a few years. I think that it's maybe a little bit along those lines.
I wasn't thinking cell phones. I like your example. I was thinking food. Do you remember $5 footlongs?
Yeah.
I'm still mad at Subway for doing me dirty like that. They got me hooked on $5 footlongs. Hey, coming up next, we do scenarios. I always like doing scenarios with Mike because we just never know what Mike's going to say. You guys are listening to the Gene Ursula Show.
It's Rachel Bell in the new episode of my podcast,